Hey, and oh goodness, we got an alert like right off the bat. Y'all can't creep me out like that. Welcome to the MMO
Bing.
Grind. My name's Puka. I'm joined here with my co-host Malice.
Sup?
Whoop! And we're coming to you tonight from I don't know, the interweb. You know, don't stalk us. That's not stalking's not cool, guys. Stalking's not cool. Um, unless
Well,
it's a
kitty
little.
kind of cool.
There's time. There's a time and a place, people. Time and a place. Tonight we're going to be talking about monetization, or mainly monetization methods, and the different methods we've seen used throughout our, MMO ecosystem. Just speaking on the ones that we like, ones we dislike, why, and is there a place that maybe some excel, and even the ones we hate, maybe they have a right place. So where do you feel, Mouse? What are the ones you hate? What monetization methods are you like? This is just hot garbage. Get it out of here.
At its core, my biggest problem is double dipping. I
Okay.
don't like, for example, if ArcAge ran a pay-to-win model,
Vanilla Arcage?
yeah, vanilla ArcAge ran a pay-to-win model, but didn't have a monthly subsystem to run Patron, it would be better. But
More
because,
bearable.
right,
Sure.
but now you have to pay your $15 a month and extra on top of that. So you're now spending another $20, $30 a month. Now all of a sudden you're really paying $35, $45 a month to play this game.
Yeah, me and the wife were clearing $100
Yeah.
a month, easy, playing
Right.
Arcage live. $100,
Yeah.
no problem.
That's-
Live. Whew.
That is crazy. Like, and it's because it's double dipping. Like, if I didn't have to pay Patron or if I didn't have to pay for loot boxes, but to pay for both of them is, especially when you decide to put things that must be owned in those loot boxes. You have to have red regrade charms. You have to have these
Yeah.
things. Sure, you can technically spend gold on all of that, but then you're talking about giving someone thousands of gold for something they spent real life money on. So you create the same ecosystem, Whereas like Guild Wars 2 had the great idea that here we'll have loot boxes, we'll have monetization for costumes and all these other items and neat stuff like that. But the game is free, and there is no premium play or anything like that. It was just, this is the game.
And I think we can all agree, if you bought Black Lion keys, you're a crazy person.
Right.
Like-
I knew people that did it.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
But
It was far too easy to just grind them. Like,
right.
sure.
It was not required in any way, shape, or form to enjoy the experience of the game.
Yeah.
And that is what's important is, let the whales be whales. Put some quality of life items in there, like inventory expansion scrolls, and those things that people will throw some money at no matter what, right? I had a pickaxe that never ran out of charges. I had a couple of costumes. I had a few things like that. But when I did the calculations at the end of the of what I spent over the course of a year, it was less than if I had just paid $15 a month. Mostly because I'm not a big microtrans person. I'm not easily baited into ooh shiny, like a lot of people are. And that's what they're feeding on, which brings me to the other downside and negative of the idea of loot boxes and costumes and those microtransactions things is they're feeding specifically off of a social flaw that our society is created by mass advertisement, mass everything else. Is we've basically allowed people to be suckers. P.T. Barnum said, sucker born every minute. So it's literally living off the sucker born every minute model. And
Well, I don't know. I definitely know my fair share of people who are like, listen, I have disposable income, and I want to. This is how I choose to blow it. I mean,
Sure.
I know
Fine.
them. I call them suckers.
Right.
Like,
And it's not so much there are the true whales, the people who just have lots of money and this is their hobby and they find throwing money at it. I know way too many people who are throwing money at it that quite don't have the money to be throwing at
Sure,
it.
sure.
And that addictive Pavlovian, ooh, I gotta keep up with the Joneses, by clicking this button and my credit card keeps going ching, ching, ching. I mean, that's just kind of immoral at that point. Like,
So, and this is definitely kind of a tangent, I believe, on this topic, but not so much. Do you think that offering um, progression in an already pretty much randomized progression world that MMOs are, do you think that offering a guaranteed progress is sort of like sating what would otherwise be kind of like the gamble of playing the game? It's like, here's your instant pass through.
Like free levels, or
Yeah. Do you think there's a do you think there's a correlation? Because a correlation. Obviously, people have been going at loot boxes for gambling laws. And gambling scientifically is very harmful. We are suckers for it.
It's
That's
addictive.
It's the human condition. Like, everybody desires that. Do you think there's some sort of correlation between that desire and just cash shops in general in the environment of an MMO?
I honestly would probably argue that the quality of life items are abused less than other things.
Sure.
Like, for instance, we'll bring up costumes. I know people who gotta catch them all. They gotta have every costume that's ever been put out.
Yep.
Yada yada. Specifically Yadas. Lots of Yada costumes. And that is a lot. That is kind of damaging in that sense, in my opinion. But quality of life items, even like, see, if you're gonna pay, to my like from an ethical standpoint, I look at pay to win or like pay to advance or whatever like that, is the idea that if people that I stole I can believe that. I think AFK used Potts also did that. Took her kids lunch money for a Ayana costume or owl costume.
Oh man, that's rough. That's rough.
But I think that at its core, I think what they need to do is reevaluate what time-saving efforts money can get you. In the idea that, like, I would be fine, honestly, if you could swipe $50, $100 and have max level character. Because to me personally, I think the leveling experience.
And what type of game? So tell me the game you're saying that. So you said max level character. Give me a title that you're okay with that in. Because that's a very
modern MMO.
Okay.
We'll take World of Warcraft, ArcAge, Star Wars.
So you're basing your argument in that there is no skill in that progression. It's just a time sink, and you're like, listen, correct. I want to pay to jump this time sink.
Bypass it. Yes.
Sure. I mean, that's what any convenience item is, right? It's just bypassing a time sink.
Right. So to me, that's ethical in the sense of you're not defeating someone you're not replacing money with skill or anything like that. You're literally buying time. You're shortcutting time. And people that don't want to shortcut time will swipe for that too. Sure. The people who are like, well, I only get to play 5 hours a week. So they're the ones that, because I work a lot. Well, okay, because you work a lot, you have the money, so you can drop on it and jump in queue. But that doesn't mean everybody else isn't going to jump in queue too. But it also opens up the opportunity that people who don't want to pay a dime can just grind through the levels, like everybody else. Like we've been doing since the founding of time.
Do you think that makes? I mean, obviously, in my opinion, that drastically takes away from the MMO experience. Don't you agree on some level?
No,
The first ride. Obviously, when we start rolling alts, like we all know, we've been down this. We're just sinking time into it.
Well, Dark Age of Camelot even did that, where once you got your first character maxed out, much along your line of thinking,
you could slash level, yeah.
You could slash level alts and things like that.
But that was only 20, and that was just to get you to.
Well, depends on what server you were on and what faction you were on.
Was it higher on other servers and factions? Yes. How high did they go? 40?
I think up to 40, because they would actually they allowed you to do it, because if a faction was lacking people, they would motivate you with a better slash level, things like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I would say that I would go as far as saying that, to me personally, it's one of the things that excites me about Camelot Unchained is it's a MMO that realized that the leveling progress is stupid. It is an old extra left over from MUDs, where leveling was the game, and It was all about grinding content, and that's all you really did. Whereas, let's be real, even if you have a leveling curve that says, okay, the average player is going to take 3 months to go from 0 to max level. Okay. Well, you play that game for 4 years. How much of the percentage of that experience was really leveling? Yet, from a dev time, you spend 80% of your resources making sure that 3 months was fun, when you could have just poured that into endgame content, poured all those resources, all that thing, and made better raids, more dungeons, more content, and let people grow more horizontally.
Well, and I'll make an argument for the leveling process. I think it has always been something that it's mastery based. In other words, it put the training wheels on you and didn't let you take them off. In other words, so you were required to, when you got 3 skills on your bars, you were required to use these 3 skills for X amount of time until they gave you that 4th skill. Thus ensuring you're not overwhelmed, and that's why you could wind up like max level on your WoW character, and you've got 45 abilities in the spell book, but you only need 8 on your bar, and there's a reason you only need 8 on your bar. Because you learned which ones you need and which ones are fluff. And I think it's important, but I think once you are a veteran player, yes, there's a huge segregation in experience between what I need as a veteran player and what I need as a new player coming in. I think a new player experience is extremely important.
Yeah, but I could do that in a 5-hour tutorial.
Sure, but who wants? Yeah, but the player wants to hop in and get it. They don't want to just like, okay, well, this is a fun tutorial. When do I get to the game? They want to be like, oh, you're in the game right now. You'll get more powerful as you go.
I would say that is sort of true at the launch of a game. But what I've seen time and time again is look at any MMO 6 months after release. Any new player that picks up that game is very sad because there isn't a freaking other player to play with or do anything else with.
Well, yeah, I think we're getting into weeds on this, and I'll agree with you that I think ultimately in many, I'll give you theme park titles and a lot of titles that have these arbitrary levels and a hard cap in place. That it's just a shortcutting. It really is just a shortcutting system. So why not sell it?
Right.
But moving back to that point, like, do you think that is the right direction for these developers and publishers to be moving? Like, why can't we have what we used to have in full blown experiences, maybe whatever they are? But the point is, like, here's your flat month fee. You just pay that and you got the game. Whatever we develop. The
problem is there is just camps that, like, I know people who just straight up are like, the idea of a monthly fee offends them. And I'm like, how is it offensive? You're going to swipe anyway. If you spend $15 a month on loot boxes, then you've paid a monthly fee. I get the idea that you could be like, well, what if I'm tight on money that week or that month? I don't want to have to pay my $15 a month, and I don't want to lose access. But I think that games like WildStar and ESO and some other games where even Eve and stuff like that, where you could earn in-game money and buy playtime. I think that helps solve those like currency issues with people who are like, well, I don't like monthly sub. I want to have that flexibility. That's great. And if things are rough, you can focus on grind because you're probably unemployed. So you're going to spend more time grinding and you'll have more gold and then you'll be able to pay for your sub or whatever. But I feel that even pure gold systems, though, are we need to come up with in-game better currency systems. Right now, I feel that the biggest curse in currency systems in games is that it allows third-party farmers to farm money and sell it back to players. And when you have tradable resource like that, like on one hand, I want tradable items and tradable resource because it makes the world feel complete. I've played MMOs where there's no trade system, like you can't hand things off at all.
No, you can't listen, and it's not an MMO if I can't trade. I'm sorry. It's like I can look at you. If I can't trade, if I can't completely give of resources to another person, sorry, don't call yourself an MMO. Delete your game.
Right. But I think that the game needs to take it a step farther and really sit down and really think about how to do those in-game systems, because I feel that that's part of the damaging model that influences how game companies are monetizing their games is the availability for third-party gold. If you can remove it in some way, if you make it
well, I don't think you're removing it. I think you're just being a competitor in that space. But like, listen, you guys can try to buy it, but we've got our rate figured out right here. Does that make sense? And so you're basically devaluing the effort of those people trying to do their farming because you're the top dog competitor. It's like, why let people go to third party companies farming and selling gold when you can do it? That's essentially what developers that sell those currencies do. They're like, we just sell the gold.
Well, sure, but
and they undercut everybody else.
Oh, it's rarely undercut. It's usually because the farmer companies will always undercut whatever the company is going to try to sell its rate at, because they survive off of moving products, whereas the game company doesn't. Also allowing people to
PlayStation seems to really buy a lot of gold.
To swipe for gold, whether it be legal through the game system or not, is damaging to how you build economies.
Sure.
Period. Because now when you insert that much, especially artificial inflation into the game, now you have to come up with more and more ways to remove the gold from the system, which comes down to ends up damaging the experience from the legal, legitimate player who's not interested in swiping for gold, who is interested in just playing the game. And that's the real issue you run into, is how much it disrupts the economy itself. And that could be, sometimes you don't really even notice how much, like even in Arcade with not gold. But we had, well, it was gold, but it wasn't like third party bought, but it was them exploiting and generating massive amounts of gold through running this quest on repeat 100 times. And people were ends up with thousands of gold early on in the game. Well, that changes irrevocably the dynamics of the game and the eternal balance.
No, remember, it'll even out in a couple months, remember?
No, that's bullshit.
Remember, no, it'll even out in a couple months, remember?
Yeah. because as someone when I first started playing Arcade, they would never admit it. Well, they have later on admitted it, but they didn't admit it early on that they had bought gold, and then they were yelling at us like, "Well, why can't we be successful because we're not doing this crafting and all this other stuff?" Like, well, yeah, but he bought gold to get all the stuff he needed to be a good crafter. Then he would sell his product, and then he started making money. It's like a business. If you get a good seed loan, you can start a business. If you don't got no money, you got no resources. It's a lot harder to move forward, and you got to hope on luck even more then. And that's what ends up happening in this situation, like in Arcade, is they end up with thousands of gold. Now they have much better, like on average, much better equipment. Now, when the castle sieges start, they're going to win the castle fights more likely over other people. That means that they're now going to have these sources that are going to generate lots more gold for them. Rinse, repeat. Gold buys gold buys gold, And so, if you allow external aspects like, the classic stereotypical Chinese farmer, and you go and buy gold from them, well, the reality is you are disrupting the economy. You are damaging the economy. Now, Arcade Legacy is so irrevocably damaged that that's the actual economy it runs on now, is people buying third-party gold. But in new games, in the future of where you want to take a game, you need to create currency models that can't be so easily disrupted.
Okay. But what about getting money from the players?
What do you mean?
I mean, how do you relate that back to getting money from the players? I mean, that's ultimately what we're talking about.
Well, right. But part of monetization is how do you control the in-game economy so that you can monetize? It's an important foundation for where your monetization scheme comes from. Because if you're monetizing the purchase of gold to try to compete with third-party vendors, then you're now putting a new monetization system in, and you're trying to make profit off of it.
So how do you feel about a title like Guild Wars 2, who just straight up sells gold for gems? It is always there. It's based off an exchange rate, based off demand.
But it also does an excellent job of limiting gold income. So the more gold that is bought on any given day, the more and more expensive. It's like an exchange. It's a well thought out system. Guild Wars 2, their core system was built by an economist. They literally hired an economist to go build us this system. We need to actually have something that flows well. And because it's so well calculated into how that money is coming in, they also, on the backside, are always buying money out of the system. So they regulate how the prices of resources are. They restrict inflation. They control
glob drops. It's that simple. Glob drops. Right. That's what it's always been. It's like, we need to get money out. Well, we're messing with glob drops, and then people, they get more expensive, and they take more money.
But see, they did a well thought out system. Period. I mean, and I liked Guild Wars 2 for it. I have other problems with Guild Wars 2, but yeah.
If Guild Wars 2 focused on the area of gameplay that I want to play, I would be all about, like, put a subscription model in, let me pay you $15 a month, and then maybe give me $15 a month worth of gems or something. However we want to talk about that, like, or maybe a perk on top of just like some type of perk for me signing up for a subscription instead of just me buying $15 a month. Like, I like that game. What I loved about it is being able to do something like invest in gloves of ectoplasm and know that, like, no matter what happened to the market, like, this is a solid investment. The market is based off of this one item, and it always will be, because the game designers pretty much made a commitment to keep this item required in all crafting. and it's like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful.
Yep.
You know, in arcades we somewhat have thunderstruck trees, but that's based around people's
Well, it's still only
novelty requirement.
Right.
What's that?
It's really only a couple of items.
Correct. Yeah, it's like it's one thing, and sure they could adjust the RNG of it based off demand, but it's like they don't seem to be touching it at all, and that's ultimately the real problem. I've personally I played live for good God a long time. Well, not that long actually, probably about 4 months, and then we played on the Russian server. I never got a Thunderstruck tree. I didn't get that mess. I've gotten 2 so far on Unchained. They're out of control. I think they're just trying to butter us up.
Yep. They had to give us something because they got a lot of steaming pile of crap over. They have a drop of the ball left, right, and center, sadly. Kamingo, love your ideas. Your execution has been piss poor in the extreme so far.
So do you think monthly subscriptions moving forward in the day we live in, do you think they're viable at all? Do you think they have a place? Do you think it's intelligent? Because I think we kind of have a consensus that if we have a monthly sub, we have an expectation of no store. We have an expectation of like, I don't want a store. Even though I just kind of contradicted myself in saying that I would pay a sub to be able to like get that much money in Guild Wars 2 store. But that's just because it was such an amazing store. They really did stand by its convenience only. You know, they really did hold true to that.
You played ESO, right?
Yeah.
So ESO did something similar where if you had your sub, then you got a block of resources from that.
I did that for like a month or 2, and I was like, yeah, this is... I don't know.
Plus it offered probably one of the most useful things, which was the infinite gathering bag.
Yeah.
So
maximum convenience.
Yep. They maximized the convenience and really got you into it. And their shop otherwise was real novelty items. So like you just were slowly gaining credits, and eventually a novelty item would come up, and you're like, yeah, I'll take that. You know, and I felt that was a pretty decent system. Sure, if you want more novelty items, you can swipe, but if you're like me, it's definitely not a requirement. I didn't need that in my experience, and I still got everything I wanted out of the game, and still end up with a costume, and still ended up with this. You know, got a few things here and there. So, I would prefer a raw monthly sub. But
I think most would, because it's static, it's dependable. You don't have to like, ooh, some $40 thing came up.
And I don't mind that there are certain short list of paid services like name changes or server transfers or things like that you want to include.
The WoW boutique, we can say.
Right. Yeah, no, and I had no problem with World of Warcraft going, yep, it's $20 transfer server. Yep, it's this.
But ultimately, that was not because of the effort they were having to do. Essentially, they were providing a service that they didn't want everybody to take advantage of. I mean, just because on the back end, we don't know what manual touching they had to do.
Right.
But regardless, if something did go wrong, it's a support ticket that is a high escalation because they got to get to it. So I get that. There's manpower that has to be ready to address problems with that service.
Right.
And so that 100% I get, like, you can't just offer that for free, because if something goes wrong, you got to have someone sitting there at help desk ready to solve that. And I'll give props to Blizzard too. Like, I don't know, I haven't called a lot of MMO customer support, but I've called Blizzard about 3 times in my career with them. Hot dog. It's the best customer support you probably ever got on a phone. Is calling Blizzard over something with your WoW account or something like that. I mean, it's been amazing. And the last time I played was, I don't know, what was that? It's probably been about 8 months ago. I don't know. It's been a while. But yeah, bag expansions. Talk about that. I mean, where do you draw the line between artificially creating the need, like, hey, we know we're going to give you a lot of items, and we know you need all of them. Like, I mean, they know this guy's got 100 slots, and by the time they're done,
we're going to force him to hold 200 items.
Well, they're like, we're going to put 60 on them. We're going to put 70 items on them by the time they get through their theme park. And these are the things they got to have before they've gone down and started doing any of their own vocational customization. We're looking at you, Arcade. They have this arbitrary limited bag space so they could purposely sell them. Like, it's terrible because I'm sitting here with, like, Gamingo. I'm like, let me buy them for money. Like, just let me pay you money because I'll do it. That's how bad it is.
Well, it's because they broke their system. That's the problem. Is
I know, but that's how
bad if you're doing the arc passes. But.
I know, but it's just how terrible it is.
Right, and that's the problem. Is as soon as you put a quality of life item into a game, and then you purposely make it so that it's no longer a quality of life item, but a requirement to play the game, and that's what Backspace is. Hands down, Arcade fills your inventory with so much garbage. You can't even run a dungeon without having. You better have 10 slots at least open.
Now, how do you make an argument against a game like Diablo, where very limited bag space, but that seems to almost be part of the game design?
Right, it is.
Right?
It's supposed to extend the game experience by
you're forcing you to make that. That's an integral part, because if you could take everything. It's like, well, you got to make cuts, and that's
like I have no problems with hyper restricted bag space as long as the game model is built around that. Like,
my D&D players can tell you that.
Right.
I put weight on the coins.
Wow,
suckers! Oh god.
Yeah, I played. Asheron's Call, my original MMO, and the coins had weight, and they only had stacks. They took up an inventory slot and had stack size limits. So 1,000 gold, 1,000 pyreal is what they call them. And then you had it start another stack and another.
Listen, they call me a psychopath, but like that's what I want in an MMO. Like I want that mess. I want that. Level of down and have to, like I want that. Like that's what I'm after here. Like but that's
mechanically it's part of the game. It's not
but it wasn't designed correct. They weren't selling me this like garbage expansion to let me hold 10 more. It's like, hey, there was a reason. It's like, listen, if you want to hold more, take more strength. Like consider this. And be like, all right, well, I can't carry a lot, but when I get here, I pack a punch because I'm this like weak little caster that can hold 14 pounds.
Yep.
We talking about 5th edition. That's what we're playing. We're playing 5th. It's so funny. I worked out my own custom weight for the coins though. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's terrible. They don't like it, but.
So why I ended up devolving most everything down to gold is like. Man, if I actually followed the game in 5e, it was like, have some copper and some silver and some everything else. You'd be like, I feel bad. I literally have 5 gold worth, and it's like 10 pounds of coin. Like, what?
Yeah. Dude, those loot tables are like, here, give them 800 copper pieces, 47 silver, and a pearl.
18 gold. Oh, yeah, a pearl.
And a pearl. Like, okay, that's what I got. Like, have fun getting this back, guys.
Yeah.
I like to make them drop it at the teller's desk. Like, I need money.
Convert this to something valuable, please.
What are we doing with it?
Yeah.
You didn't miss anything, Skippy.
Oh, damn, Skippy. 3.5 is still my personal favorite. But I never played 4th. I loved 4th. I'm one of the few people that loved 4th.
4th was like, let's make this an MMO.
Right.
No, it was bad.
We're going to do your show on MMOs because I like MMOs.
It was so bad.
So awesome.
It was terrible. It had ability cards.
It was great.
MMO D&D.
But back to monetization. So right now the big systems are either monthly sub or the illusion of free-to-play, because I haven't yet found this free-to-play game that exists other than, well, I would say Guild Wars 2 is the closest thing to free-to-play.
League of Legends, baby, let's go. Let's go right now.
MMO.
That's an MMO. You stop.
There is an M in the beginning. It's called MOBA.
Gaspar sent you for Fortnite. Now here's the deal, and we do have like the free to plays, but there's different monetization options within there, and I think that's really what we want to focus on. So one being, we have a cash shop. The other being, I think Battle Pass is pretty popular. How do you feel about Battle Passes?
Define. So like,
define. So you pay.
Pass.
Correct. You pay up front for a season, and how much value you get out of it is how much time you put in. So it's the same price up front, but you may only get $5 value out of your $15 versus somebody that puts in a crazy amount of time might get $25 value out of their $15. And so the season pass is always, it has more value than what you pay for, but the average player is not going to get full value, or maybe they might break even if they were to get those items out of what would be a straight up cash shop. So basically, it's enticing. It's very clever.
Basically, an Arc Pass.
You're selling the player the desire to play the game. It's very clever. You're like, here's the deal. Like, you get a sweet deal. Like, we're going to give you, again, like, give us $15. We'll give you $25 worth of cosmetics, but you got to earn them. And if you don't, you're out. We're just giving you the option.
Can't we just develop a good game to hook people?
Stop it! No, we have to develop. We have to develop these. And see, that's the thing. It's like, where is the talk about a carrot, right?
Playing the game, right? You're no longer playing the game. You're playing the monetization system.
Well, you are playing the game, and the idea is like you purchase it, but that's the whole thing with this Arc Pass. Like, it got me with Arc Pass. I bought the $80 pack with Arcage, and not only did I burn my free Arc Pass, but then I realized I had chosen the wrong one, and so I switched to another one and purchased an Arc Pass with credits to unlock the premium line on that. Because I was like, as I'm doing these things, I definitely want this extra stuff that I'm getting. Like, I want these things, and I don't want to complete it and then get them all at once. Some of those things I wanted up front. And so, yeah, like, that got me. And that, again, I planned on at least completing both the ones I unlocked before December when we got our new one. Not now. I don't know what's up with my gems. I don't know what's up with any of that. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just out.
Every day I feel better rewarded for buying the basic pass.
Yeah. Well, we moved servers on the promise that
you left your shit behind on top of
it. Listen, that character's deleted too, Yeah. Based off the promise that we were getting those packs again. So, I don't know. Yeah.
That'll be trademark soon.
Oh, gosh. What a mess.
So, by the time Camelot Train comes out, they should finally be ready to give you back your pack and get you going with your starter stuff.
Yeah, and so you have, like Gorad just said in chat, like, he's very happy with his Arc Pass purchase because he knows he's going to max it out. Or not his Arc Pass, his Destiny 2 Battle Pass. He knows he's going to max it out. And I think that's for any player that knows they're going to max out their Battle Pass, like, it's a slam dunk, right? Mm-hmm. Because you feel so much value in it, and you're willing to fork out the money for that, which generally speaking is maybe twice what an average cosmetic might be. You're willing to fork out the money for that, to buy that, in hopes of getting at least double the value of cosmetics out of that. And they're enticing you to continue to log in. It's kind of like a subscription where, like, I remember back in the days of playing WoW, like, I almost felt obligated to log in because I'm like, I'm paying for it. I got to play the game.
Right.
And I'm glad. It's a mental thing, but it's like, it's out of my hands now. Camelot Unchained, I backed, I got lifetime. I don't have that desire. I think anyone who's paying a subscription has that desire to utilize their subscription, be it an MMO, be it Netflix, Amazon Prime, which I don't know why every person I know has Amazon Prime. I'm like, guys, you order that many packages? I'm like,
so worth throwing an extra $100 at Amazon every year? Like,
I don't get it. All right, please tell me Prime. I don't like, if I got an extra Audible credit. If I got an extra Audible credit, we'd be talking, right? Like, that's money in the bank. But I'm not getting anything except for like a crappy streaming service. Like it's bad too. It's not good, guys.
Well,
It's got the show, that one show with Jim Halpert. You know, it's got the one Jim Halpert show, and I'll watch it. It's good, but it's like I almost feel like if I'm paying for a service, I need to use it. Duh, go figure. But the reality is, so many of these services that we have, we don't need so often. It's just that's the only way for us to get them, which is like good gravy. It's just so ridiculous. But I understand, you know, I get from their point of view. It's like they're trying to run a company and they got people, you know, that they got to pay some bills to. So
right. Well, and I think that's where we had stretched in a different episode of where I was talking about the fact that, you know, so you look at a Dark Age of Camelot. A Dark Age of Camelot probably took like $30 million to make, and they charged $15 a month sub, and then people had alt accounts and like other stuff, so that was more $15 a month. And
cool. Have those buff bots.
Right. So everybody was throwing $15 a month at this thing. But you're talking about maybe 30, maybe $50 million to make that game total maximum. But you look at the modern MMO, basically if the modern MMO, if you haven't spent $100 million, you haven't been trying. So you're looking at $100 million minimum investment to make a AAA MMO. That is crazy. You now have to make that money back somehow. And sorry, but $15 a month doesn't really cut that sometimes.
Well, and listen, I'm a big advocate for like, yes, like inflation's real, things have gone up. Let's talk 20. Let's talk $25 a month. Like I'm all for that. I don't think we should be paying $60 for AAA titles because I was buying N64 games,
right?
Like for $60. Like, come on, right. I get it. Inflation's real.
An 8-bit game for freaking $60.
Listen, I get it. The problem is, I feel like all these publishers are, and maybe they're rightfully so, are like, people will just be like, I'm not gonna pay that. I'm not gonna pay that for, you know, that game. No, that needs to be only $60. I'm like, I don't know, man. Some of the experiences,
I will give them that, like, this idea that, like, maybe they're doing math that I don't understand, but from lots of experiences in life, we hear people every day go, oh, I would never do. And then they move that bar anyway, and they all go do.
Well,
because they're all still going to do it.
Listen, gaming is, in my opinion, probably the cheapest hobby outside of, I don't know, cutting grass. The cheapest hobby a person could have. I don't know what's cheaper as far as like mainstream hobbies, if you will. The point is, it's like we pay next to nothing for our entertainment, like next to nothing. When you look at what it costs to go to the movies for 2 hours of entertainment, like compare that to the hours.
Ours just jumped to $12.
Hours. The hours of entertainment you get out of some of these games. Like when you give me a game like The Witcher 3 and you're only going to charge me $60, that should have a $200 price tag for the amount of time I suck into that. Trace, where you at? You been watching? How much time you put in Ark, Trodius? He paid $30 for that game. I think he's got 4,000 hours in Ark. $30. Like it's not proportional.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, just put it in perspective. If you are a super casual player, you only put 5 hours a week into the game. You got enough time to play 5 days a week, an hour a night. That's 20 hours of gameplay in a month for $15.
It's crazy.
I can't look at a bar for $15. Like,
only paid $26. How many hours? Is it over 4,000? Only paid $60.
Right.
Or $26.
And I'm comfortable with the price hovering at $15 an hour for subs. But I think we should be paying $85, $95 for that freaking game. The initial purchase, especially MMOs. MMOs are big initial investments. I get the idea sort of with like non-RPG based games. So like if I'm like go play Street Fighter, I'm gonna play whatever stuff. The idea is from their standpoint, they want you to buy bunches of different games. So they want to keep the price low, so you keep buying more to create turnover and keep excitement rolling. But MMOs and long-term RPGs like Fallout 4 and things like that, where you put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours into these games, yeah, they should probably have bigger sticker prices.
Yeah.
I don't think it's unfair to the community or to I think companies need to make money. Let's be real. They're not going to make your favorite fuzzy awesomeness. They're not going to keep.
No, see, I'm going to directly counter. I'm going to directly counter that argument. Companies do not need to make money. Companies need to make great products that want me to spend my money on them. And I think that's kind of the impasse we're at. Is I'm saying I've experienced some great products that I would have paid more than the status quo for. Like, a company doesn't just get to like, we're a company, we deserve to make money. No, absolutely freaking not.
No,
if you don't produce a product,
that is their task. That is their end goal at the end of the day.
Sure, from their internal team, right. that is their goal.
Their goal is going to be X. No matter what company it is, their goal is to make profit. And at that end of the day, you have to accept that whether it's a shitty game or not, their idea is to make profit.
But you have to feel like in this industry, like we have the sentiment that seems to ring true and resonate with almost every player, that they feel, especially in the MMO industry, that they're not getting their money's worth. And there was a time when I started playing MMOs, I did not have that sentiment whatsoever.
Nope.
I didn't. I was just like, this only costs $15 a month? Like, I had that feeling, and I was like, this is crazy. This only costs $15 a month. And now, and I don't know. I don't know if the problem is my expectations have shot through the roof. Maybe. But I don't think that's completely it. I think there's definitely an element of shallowness that exists. And, like, these products are coming up short. And it's like...
And this is a flaw that has plagued the game industry for MMOs for time immemorial. First of all, they get into a niche. They get
20 years. Time immortal with MMOs. Come
on. 23 years.
In the beginning.
23 years, yeah.
Jesus played Dark Age of Camelot.
When the first Adam sprite and Eve sprite appeared on the 2.5D.
Creation was just a mud. Oh, that's deep. It's deeper than I thought. Oh, God.
But they followed, like, all the early MMOs were muds. They were just graphical muds. Yep. And they were like, well, this is how you build a mud. So then they would do this with graphics. Okay, I get it. That was the first step in. But you look at how much legacy bullshit ideas that companies feel are required every step of the way that aren't. That they're just prelude ideas that have come from somewhere. And World of Warcraft became the new prelude idea. And there
are a lot of elements that people feel must be copied from that one title. Right.
And those become ridiculous because they're not in line with your product. They're not in line with what you're selling. You just slap them on because WoW did. And, not thinking why. And I feel even just overall game design, whether it be monetization or actual gameplay, it's they slap systems in because they believe it's required. That's what the industry does, as opposed to understanding the reasons why you're doing that in the first place.
And you think that is ultimately what's gotten us to this place of shallow titles, where we feel like,
yeah, because what's the real shallowness? The shallowness in every game, and when I say it, I'm sure you'll agree. All the game is a bunch of fucking dailies. There isn't a game anymore except to go do the same block of quests on repeat for the rest of your MMO life.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, yeah, there a lot of the titles, even some of the ones I like, they definitely were plagued by the, the daily. Um, it's filling of a bar. Ultimately we're MMO players and we like to fill bars, and those dailies were allowing us to fill
I like
bars
to
or
feel
check
well.
off a list.
Usually there's alcohol in those bars.
um, but I don't think that's I don't I don't know, and that's when I talk about games like Camelot Unchained, is I really I hope those titles, and ultimately it might come down to me making a decision to like, hey, this is ultimately, if it turns out to be what I wanted, this is what I want, and it might be something niche, and I might have to become like Tertius and Ark, be like, listen, people are jumping and going over to something else, but it's like he's like, no, this is what I like, this does it for me. Yeah, and my biggest fear is like when I find a title like that, I hope I have other people that feel the same and that want to play it as well. You know what I mean? Like it's no fun
Well,
when it's like,
eventually that happens to every. You'll eventually distill it down because just remember, um, UO is still an active game
absolutely,
because
absolutely,
there are people who have simply refused to leave.
yeah. Now we got a little bit of time. How do you feel about? And we'll just generalize regardless of service, but kickstarting as and the
Right.
promises that come with that.
The crowdfund
Yeah, we'll just
methodology.
crowdfunding for.
I think crowdfunding is great. I think that it has revitalized the hope and possibility in the MMO stream because as it stands, when 0809 happened and we went in the recession, you looked at companies like EA went from putting out 35 titles a year
Listen, we lost
to
EQ next to it.
5. When we saw the death of THQ, when we watched, the downsizing of everything across the freaking game sphere, and still to this day, those game companies don't want to get exploratory into the MMO space because they learned in the MMO space it is not as profitable to make an MMO as it is to make another Battlefield.
Correct. Like
And
a crappy expansion could tank your entire company, and you're sending people home. Like
right,
that's just the truth in the MMO
that is
space. If
reality.
you're
Right.
if you don't have a publisher supporting you, yeah, like a crappy that simple, or your services are offline for a week because you're a victim of an attack. I don't know. The
Right.
point is, it's like you could be sending people home. Like
Yep.
you don't have jobs for them because you don't keep the service running. That's a reality.
Yep. And so because of that, you know, with that reality that the there isn't money. The idea of investors just walking up to any idea and throwing money at it is dead. And so the only thing left to fuel ideas is the fan base. And so, I mean, as much as we give Star Citizen a lot of shit on the show and on
Because they deserve it. It's fun.
well, yeah, and
It's fun.
community hall,
Sell me another
but
ship. I'm gonna look, Star Citizen. What we got?
right, right. But if if they weren't spending so much time right now taking advantage of people, like I would totally respect everything they've done because they've made so much money on crowdfunded money, and they're going to be one of the highest funded MMOs ever. And that's going to be amazing. And the fact,
Ooh, RSI Mantis. It's only $150.
ooh.
Ooh.
So at the end of the day, I think that kickstarting, at least if see what I think kickstarting should do for the MMO space is I think that more game companies should go into it with and players should go into this with a realistic scope, which is they should be putting out a demo. Basically you're kickstarting me to put out a game demo.
Do you
And
believe crowdfunding should bring the contributors in as investors and not customers?
in what way?
in that if I crowdfund, in other words, have an option, right? So we go to Kickstarter, and I want to crowdfund a project, but just a simple little slider, right? I want to crowdfund as an investor, meaning I'm not purchasing the product, and I have no rights to the product, but I'm purchasing a investment in your company. I'm investing in your company, a share, if you will. Um, or you can come in and you're purchasing a product with these different packages.
I I think that there's
Is that murky
already
water?
it's murky water. There's too many real systems that exist already where if they wanted to be publicly traded and things like that, they could be publicly traded. Or they because no one wants to do business with you
You
for
see,
100, but no one wants to do with business with you for $100. Now
sure.
you drop $1 million on them and they'll do business with you. You know,
And I think maybe what I'm thinking over, would basically be an investment company that looks at game titles specifically. And see that's ultimately the problem is I think there are a lot of people that exist that are passionate about very specific projects, and they would love to give more than what would just be a purchase, and giving them the power to come in collectively as an investing conglomerate, and having the ability to
but you could
kick
do that.
kick that off socially.
You could do
Um,
that if you wanted to.
yeah, but a platform doesn't exist that would allow people to dynamically spin up.
Oh yeah, yeah. You wouldn't be able
Yeah.
to create
See,
a
I think a
platform.
platform like that would be pretty interesting. In other words, you're coming to this company not as 200,000 customers, but as 200,000 individual investors with a representative total fund that you want to invest in their company. I think that'd be an interesting idea. Um, but yeah, I don't
But,
know. I don't know
but,
how that would work.
but I think you could literally do that by just making a publicly traded investment firm.
You could, yeah, you could. But like you said, a lot of companies aren't necessarily ready to go public. A
But
lot of
what I think
these,
that they should be doing is they should be creating demos, allowing those players to throw a reasonable amount of money instead of trying to make $200 million. Let's try to make $1 million, and or $500,000, and put together a product demo, a solid product demo, where then they can go and get real investments in the market. Because if I can show you on the books that here I have this product, this is the start of this product, and look, I have 40,000 people who have all thrown a buck into this. That's at least a guaranteed 40,000 players that are going to play this game. So invest in me.
sure. I just don't like the nature. For me, my biggest drawback of crowdfunding is I'm coming to you as a customer. That's my biggest drawback of crowdfunding is I am giving you money for a product that doesn't exist, which is different if I come
That's
to you as an investor.
that's not what it is, though. I mean,
It
you,
absolutely
you
is.
could you could take it that way, but you're
That's just what it is. Like, here's
no.
money. You're taking it from my banking account. I don't have a product yet in my possession. You're giving me a
Right.
promise you will deliver that product.
That's why it's not
That's
as
why
a
we call it
customer.
vaporware.
No,
Like
no,
that's,
that's why it's not coming to you as a customer. It's coming to you from the idea
but coming
of
as an investor,
if I give you money to um, the pound, for animals, I donate money to that, and they will say, "Hey, you're a big investor, blah 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 blah. We'll
no,
make
they
sure
will not call you an investor though.
you're a donator.
Correct.
You
That's
donate.
different. That's
And that's what you're
different.
doing. That's exactly what you're doing in a crowdfund, though. You are
Correct.
donating money for the end result, but that doesn't make you a customer.
Yeah,
It's
but the
still,
setup, the point is
but
they're
that
setting
doesn't
me
mean
up as
that.
a customer.
But the
There's a
pound
promise there.
may set me up with a deal that my next adopted dog or whatever like that will be free. I mean, and that's the perks that they toss you back for throwing X amount of money at them.
Yeah, but here's the deal. If Robert Space Industries right now put on their website, sorry guys, Star Citizen's canceled, we're out. What's my legal precedent to get my investment back?
There's actually several. There is legal precedent.
I'm sure. Again, the point is, they would argue like, listen, you pretty much accepted like we don't even have to deliver on this promise, which I know I accepted because that was the requirement to purchase anything.
But Kickstarter doesn't allow you to get away with it, because Kickstarter on the back end will basically, they need to promote their platform.
Yeah,
so
but they're
no, but it's considered fraud if you actually try to just go and we take the money and walk. They legally come after you.
Sure, and I'm talking like Star System at this point is beyond Kickstarter, and maybe that's where you should say like, all right, listen, you need to stay with Kickstarter because a lot of these companies leave, right? They leave, they depart from Kickstarter because Kickstarter takes their portion and all that, and once they get to the point where they've used Kickstarter for free advertising, whatever, they departed. But once they leave, where there is no longer that legal precedent for them to produce that product.
Sure there is, because there's still...
Only to the initial people on Kickstarter, though.
No, because right now, if I said, hey, everybody, if I told everybody I knew right now, hey, if everybody gives me $1, I will then go in the corner and stand on my head.
So that's like $5.
Okay. But if I don't pay up, but if I don't go and do that, technically that's fraud. I mean, obviously, no one's going to take my lawsuit seriously for $1, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about millions of dollars,
I'm no lawyer, but I don't,
and that gets you wrecked. That you're going to go to jail for that. And that happens more often than you think. Sure. Or get sued into the ground until you basically bankruptcy, dissolve all your assets.
Well, and see, that's the reality, though, is the point is like, yes, there's legal precedent for that, but the people getting the money are not the people. The people getting the money out of that failed estate or company or whatever are not the people that initially put that money there, And sure. They're not. You're not going to get... Listen, if Star Citizen was like, peace, we're out of here, I'm not going to get a check for every dime I gave Star Citizen.
No, not every dime.
That just wouldn't happen.
You'll immediately see within 9 seconds 4 class action lawsuits that would drive them into the ground. And
correct, but that's because there's a big hunk of money in legal precedent. And they're going to promise portions of that, but ultimately they're going to take that big piece of pie. That's how things work. They're going to tie that up in as many legal fees as they want. You can charge whatever you want to get at that mess. And now, I mean, that's just how
that's wandering into the gray area of discussing about good lawyers versus bad lawyers versus shady lawyers, and the monetization of our legal system. But but at the end of the day, the Kickstarter system is not as porous as you think in the idea that they can just take your money and walk off. Is at the end of the day, even if you technically don't get everything back, you still get something back, and they'll lose everything for it. And I don't mean everything as in the company, but lose potentially like real life assets in their home that they use your money to buy, things like that.
But to summarize, you definitely feel that Kickstarter and platforms like it.
I think it saved the MMO industry.
Do you think they require moving forward, or do you think we have? Do you think companies still have to go through Kickstarter, or do you think there's a precedent where like, hey, we can throw some tweets out and get on MMO publications and we can crowdfund ourselves? Do you think companies can crowdfund themselves at this point?
I don't think companies could. I mean, if you're already a big name, probably. But like, if you are someone trying to come up, if you're a starting company or anything like that.
Yeah, Puka Games.
Puka Games started tomorrow.
It actually just did right now. I just got the...
We're
making an MMO.
Kickstarter gives you your name.
On adventure.
But it gives you your name. It gives you a platform to make it your identity, as opposed to the route you were talking about. Is I have to have an identity for people to want to listen to me. Kickstarter allows you to be heard before you have an identity.
And you're saying that value and that allows you to be heard is how many people have backed you.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so those people hearing you go, I like the way you think. I like the ideas you have. Let me throw some money at it. Fling! And
We
that
just need more rich people to be publishers. Everybody call your rich friends. Tell them to go be publishers. Call them. Be like, come on.
You're going to win the lottery.
Chop. Yeah. I would. I would bring back Hello Kitty Online if I won a lottery. I'd be like, we're bringing it back. Island Adventure. It'd only have the one monkey balloon pop game, though. That'd be the only one. They'd be like, I want the other games. Be like, no, this was the best.
It's the other one that mattered.
Oh, man. Well, I think we've kind of killed this issue. You can talk forever on this.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's throw it to our stream. Does anybody really have any strong input on either monthly sub, on cash shop, on monetization in general? How would you like to see? Do you have any unique ideas that you would like to see come out on the market that we haven't spoken about or haven't thought about?
Yeah, like not a monthly sub, but if you donate blood, like you could donate blood instead of monthly sub.
And I got the greatest vampire MMO.
Yeah, like you just sit down your computer, you just put the needle in, and you just let it it actually powers the computer.
I wouldn't go that far, but actually, it'd be really, really kind of cool is have work with blood donation places and have them give cards for your blood drive, and then gives you game time.
Oh goodness! Would you? That's another great question. Be like, well, we're going to pay you $90 for your plasma, or we can give you $120 of WoW time. You're like, no, what I'm taking.
Well, at this current point, one of the this is Plague State could mention it. Blood donation places are not allowed to pay in any way.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's where they're wrong and why they're failing is because people don't want to give things away for free because we live in a capitalist society. So they go instead and they get paid to give plasma, but the plasma, as you say, goes to research and not to people in need who need transfusions. So at the end of the day, they need to, if they had a system where you could, I get it paid anyway, but wouldn't it be great to see, like Camelot Unchained, for example, say, hey, we're doing this awesome thing with blood drives. If you go get this, we'll give you a free month of service. Blah 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 blah. I
don't see a problem with that.
I mean, and it's them there. Awesome. It's them donating into those services, and it also makes you look really kind of nice and shiny in the grand.
Well, I mean, everyone and their grandmother is trying to get people to plant trees. Like, good gravy. Everybody needs trees. I know they're all burning. I'm just kidding. They're all on fire. Every tree is on fire.
At least in California.
I watch the news. It's burning everywhere. Stop making fires. In fact, outlaw all open flame. No more open flames.
If we just paved up the planet, we wouldn't have that problem.
The whole planet, yeah. If the whole planet was just a parking lot, problem solved. Then
we always have place to park.
We can get on our big lot spaceship and just, what was that, Wally? Yeah, problem solved. Oh, man.
I use control samples, etc. Right, exactly. But it doesn't go to human use. That was my point. Yep.
Yeah.
But that would be, an interesting alternative random system. At least it would be a good fundraiser.
Oddly specific, but yeah.
Could you actually do it? No, I'm thinking from a standpoint of if a game company wanted to make a donation to whatever, I forget what the main company is that does blood donations.
American Red Cross.
Sure. We'll say they want to do a big donation to American Red Cross, and what they're doing is they want you to go out. They're promoting blood drives. So if they did that, and then they gave you this reward, and all they're supplying you with at American Red Cross is proof of giving blood with a code on it or whatever like that.
No, yeah. The point is they can't give you money. I don't know the laws, right? But it sounds like
Right.
they can't give you money. I would argue maybe they can't give you anything of monetary value. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, that would just be
But it wouldn't be monetary value. 'Cause
How
the
do
game company
you how do you
itself would be
prove?
donating.
I don't know. I think maybe the best would be submit a screenshot with your your Band-Aid. They give you the wraparound Band-Aid for your IV.
They did that for Game of Thrones. What did they do?
Oh well, there you go. Was it like a picture of your Band-Aid or something, or like how? I don't know. How did you do that? Did they have cards? Like a serialized? I mean, if you don't want it exploited, you need serialized cards, right?
Right.
Like that's, and even then,
Very basic.
someone will get enough and make their own generator, but still, sticker like I voted. There you go. So,
Put it right on your forehead.
and ultimately, I think it's something that you need to. It needs to be something you're willing to give to everyone, and understand that crummy people exist in this world. But ultimately, I think all these companies have the ability to do some awesome, good things, and yeah, and just to help these organizations out.
And honestly, I think just from a pure PR perspective, if you look like a good, like shining, upstanding company, I feel that is a big thing these days. I think there's a very large niche of consumers out there that are really looking for companies that are looking to do what they feel is the right thing, even if it's just a PR fucking scam. Like at the end of the day, hey, they motivated a bunch of people to go give blood, or they motivated a bunch of people to do
Well, it's
this.
always a PR scam. Remember, they're a business, and their job's
Right.
to make,
To make
money.
Right.
That's right. It's always a PR scam.
Right. And we agree.
We
on
do
that.
this for money.
Yep. There's nothing wrong with making money, and there's nothing wrong with doing the right thing. And as long as you put those in balance, you're a upstanding company in most people's eyes.
Except for you, EA.
Yeah, EA could do nothing
Except for
right.
you.
My personal opinion, EA could basically give every kitten a home in the world, and I would still think that they're the greatest devil on the planet. So.
Kittens don't need homes. They just need mice. Give them mice. They don't need blankets. They're killing machines.
If they eat more and hunt more, they stay warm.
All right. We have anything to say in closing? I think that's about our time.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up. All right, folks. Everybody, thanks for coming on out. Thanks for sharing the evening, this hour with us. And make sure you check out the community hall on Sundays, as well as us every Tuesday. And we'll see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Au revoir. Au revoir.
And I hope everybody had a good Veterans Day.
I won't do that again. I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you, veterans. Keep being awesome.
Vet-like.
Peace.